Hi everyone, you're very welcome to today's demo of BrightPay payroll software. My name is Rachel and I'll be taking you through the demo today. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that today's demo is being recorded and I will send you an email later today with a link to the recording of the demo and some other useful videos on how to get set up. If you have any questions during the demo, you can type them into the questions box on your screen. However, I won't be answering questions during today's demo. Every company is different in terms of how the payroll is set up, and so a member of the BrightPay team will contact you as soon as possible to answer your questions directly. Just a quick introduction to BrightPay before we get started. BrightPay is an award-winning payroll software that makes managing payroll quick and easy. Our products are used to process the payroll for over 320,000 businesses across the UK and Ireland, and we've been developing payroll software for 30 years. BrightPay has an impressive 99% customer satisfaction rate, and we have a 5-star rating on both Software Advice and Trustpilot. BrightPay is a desktop-based payroll software, and it's available for both Windows and Mac. For today's demo, I'm using the Windows version of the software, as it's the most popular, so the screens will look a little bit different if you are using the Mac version of BrightPay. We do also have an optional cloud add-on called BrightPay Connect, which we will look at later in the demo. With BrightPay Connect, you can have online access to the payroll data, but the payroll itself is still processed on the desktop application of BrightPay. All BrightPay licenses include 10 activations, and this means that payroll processing is possible by up to 10 users or from 10 different locations. This is very handy if you have a number of employees working from home, all needing access to the payroll software. I'm going to jump into the payroll software now to start the demo. And this is BrightPay payroll software. And here I'm in the payroll tab, ready to start processing the payroll. You will see these blue boxes across the top of the screen, and these are each of the different pay periods. Here we have a weekly schedule and a monthly schedule. You can also have a fortnightly, 4-weekly, quarterly, and a yearly schedule as well. Further down the screen, I have a list of my monthly employees and a summary of the payroll information. If I click on my first employee, you can pay your employees monthly pay, hourly pay, daily pay, or there's also piece of work rates. And we also cater for expenses and benefits as well. Further down the screen, there is a statutory pay calendar where you can add and track all of the different types of statutory leave, and BrightPay will do the various calculations for you. Next is additions and deductions, and there's some common addition and deductions already programmed in here, but you can also add your own custom addition and deduction types. BrightPay also caters for attachment of earnings, so you don't need to add them manually. BrightPay is also very intuitive when it comes to pensions and automatic enrolment. BrightPay monitors everything in the background with on-screen alerts to help you along the way. So for example, if an employee becomes eligible for auto-enrolment, you will see an alert to notify you that you have auto-enrolment duties to perform. So for example, if I change this employee's earnings, BrightPay is now telling us that this employee is an eligible job holder, and it gives us the various options available for this employee. To enroll an employee in a pension scheme, simply click Enroll. choose the scheme, choose tax relief, and continue. And where you have more than one employee that needs to be enrolled, you will have the option to do multiple employees at the same time. When an employee has been enrolled, you must also give them a letter notifying them that they have been enrolled, and BrightPay will automatically prepare the employee's auto-enrollment letters for you. These letters can be printed, exported to PDF, or emailed to the employee. Or if you are using the BrightPay Connect add-on, you can also add it to the employee's self-service portal, which we will look at later in the demo. Once you have finished adding the payroll information and you're happy that everything is correct, the next step is to finalize employees. I'll click OK here, and you will now see that these green ticks here are indicating a closed period, and you'll see that the silhouette has gone on to the following month. Payslips can be printed, emailed, or exported to a PDF, and if you are using BrightPay Connect, the payslips are automatically added to the employee's self-service portal. In the event that you made a mistake, you can also reopen the payslips and amend the payroll accordingly. When the payslips are finalized, notifications will appear beside the RTI and the Pensions tabs. So if I go into RTI first, you'll see we have one outstanding FPS. And you can simply click Send Now. At the moment, this is uploading to HMRC, and that's it sent. You'll see the date and the timestamp of when it has hit the HMRC gateway. You can also see here that I have a notification beside the Pensions tab, reminding us that we have outstanding pension submissions that need to be sent to the pension provider. If I go into Nest, you will see we have an outstanding enrollment submission and a contribution submission that needs to be sent to Nest. And similar to sending the RTI submission to HMRC, we need to click Send Submission, complete the following few screens, and Send Now. Going back up to the options at the top of the screen, if I click on Add Scheme, you will see a list of all of the pension schemes that are supported by BrightPay. We have direct API integration with Nest, the People's Pension, Smart Pension, and Aviva. And this means that you can send the enrollment and contribution files directly from BrightPay to the pension provider. With the balance of the pension providers, BrightPay can create the CSV file ready for you to upload to the pension provider. This isn't the only form of integration in BrightPay. We also have integration with accounting and bookkeeping software. And this means that you can send the payroll journal directly to the accounts package from within BrightPay. You can see a list of the various packages that we're integrated with here on screen. And if you're using a different accounting package, you can also use the new nominal ledger mapping, where you can create your own generic option and export it as a CSV file. It's quite straightforward. First, you need to choose the date range that you want the payroll journal to include. Here we have the nominal ledger mapping, showing where things will be posted in the accounting software. On the next screen, you can add variations. For example, if you wanted director's pay to go to a different account. And on the final screen, the journal is displayed for you to review, and when ready, click Send. Like with HMRC and the pension providers, you will get confirmation on screen that it was sent successfully. And you don't need to set up the nominal ledger mapping and variations every time. These are saved, so you only need to do it once. I want to look at paying the employees next. and employees can be paid by cash, check, or credit transfer, or a new payment option this year is modular. With modular, you can pay employees directly from within BrightPay. This is a fast, secure, and easy way to make instant payments to employees without the need to create bank files. The client or the person authorized on the modular account to make payments will be notified that payments are pending approval. And the client just needs to log into their modular account using secure mobile two-factor authentication and approve the payments. And just to note, any accountants or employers who wish to use the modular service must sign up for a modular payment account separately and pay any associated fees to modular. The next section that I want to show you today is the analysis. And we have lots of pre-programmed reports within BrightPay. And BrightPay also has a report writer, so you can build and design any type of report that you wish by adding and removing columns, so you can pick and choose those items you wish to see on a report. Reports can be printed or emailed, or they can also be exported out as an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV file, or a PDF document as well. Reports are also available instantly on the BrightPay Connect employer portal so that you can run the reports online anytime. I'm just going to show you very quickly what's in the other few tabs. With employees, you can view and edit existing employees or add a new employee. You just need to fill out the required information in each of these tabs. For example, departments, annual leave entitlements, pay information, and also information related to tax, NIC, and RTI. If a worker is inside IR35, you can mark them as an off-payroll worker in BrightPay, and the software will automatically disable the employee entitlements for the off-payroll worker. At the top of the screen, you also have P45s, P60s, P11Ds, etc. Within HMRC payments, you can view amounts that are due to HMRC, along with the likes of CIS deduction suffered, recoverable statutory pay, and you can enable your employment allowance as well. And once you've made a payment to HMRC, you can keep a record of the amount paid and the payment date. The last tab then is CIS, and BrightPay includes a full CIS module at no extra cost. I'm not going to look at the CIS functionality during today's webinar, but I just want to point out the fact that you can issue P&D statements to subcontractors, and you can also use the modular functionality to pay subcontractors directly. I'm going to close out of here now, and this is the screen you initially see when you open BrightPay. At the bottom of this screen, you can create a new employer or import employers. So this is very useful when getting set up if you are migrating from a different payroll software. As I mentioned, I'm not covering the setup process on today's webinar, but I will include a video on how to get set up in an email later today. For payroll bureaus and accountants, here you will have a list of all your clients, and you can click on the Settings button or right mouse click on any of these clients for some additional settings. For example, you can choose columns to rearrange what you see on this overview screen. You can set a color label if you wish to have different staff working on different clients. And there's a very handy Bureau statistics report here as well that can help you with billing your clients. Another feature in BrightPay that is very useful for accountants and payroll bureaus is the batch payroll processing. This allows you to batch send all of your outstanding RTI and CIS submissions to HMRC, You can batch finalize your currently open pay periods, and you can batch check for coding notices. For this demo, I'm going to batch finalize the payroll, but the other two options work exactly the same. Here you can pick and choose the employers that you want to finalize the payroll for. So you can select all employers, or you can choose employers based on their color code. This is very handy if you have a large number of single director companies on the payroll, or payrolls that don't change from week to week. I'm going to select all employers with the green label and then run. And here you can see BrightPay batch finalizing the payroll for all of these employers. So that's the payroll side of things, but I'm now going to open the payroll again because I do want to show you a very quick overview of BrightPay Connect. And we do run separate demos of BrightPay Connect, which will look at this functionality in more detail. You will see here I have a green cloud icon at the top right of my screen, and this means that the employer is connected to BrightPay Connect. BrightPay Connect is an optional cloud add-on that works alongside BrightPay. The payroll is still processed on the desktop application of BrightPay, but with BrightPay Connect, the payroll information is stored online on Microsoft Azure, which is a secure cloud server. BrightPay Connect will automatically back up your payroll data every 15 minutes when the payroll is open, and again when you close out of the employer file. If you need to restore your payroll data, you can access a chronological history of all your backups to restore the relevant data. Because the payroll information is stored online, you can invite employees to log in to their own self-service portal, which I'm going to come back to shortly. For now, I'm going to go to the employer dashboard. So here we are in our online dashboard, but the great thing about BrightPay Connect is that it's not just you that can benefit from the online portal. With BrightPay Connect, you can set up an unlimited number of users, so you can add your clients or even other colleagues who are processing the payroll. For the client, they can log into their own client portal where they can view their employees' payslips and run their own payroll reports, but you can also add the client's HR manager, for example, to approve annual leave requests. Once a leave request has been approved, it will automatically synchronize to the payroll software on your PC. And this eliminates the need for the client to keep you up to date on employee leave. You will see these tabs across the top of the screen, and I'm going to have a quick look in each tab. In the Employees tab, your clients can click into each employee's profile to access payslips and personal details. And with BrightPay Connect, there's no need to print or email payslips. BrightPay Connect distributes the payslips to your client's employees automatically for you. The client also has the option to download all payslips, and here they can download a PDF file containing all of the finalized payslips for a given period. Next is subcontractors, and this tab will only be available if you have subcontractors added in the payroll software. Similar to the Employees tab, here the client can access subcontractor payment and deduction statements and subcontractor contact information. Next is Reports, and any report that is set up and saved on the payroll software will appear here. So once the payroll has been finalized, your client can log in and run their own reports. There's no need for you to email them across to the client each pay period. Next is a company-wide employee calendar with an overview of all employees' past and scheduled leave. So it's an easy way for your client to keep track of who is on leave and when. HMRC payments also flow through to BrightPay Connect, and here the client can view amounts that are due to HMRC, once again eliminating the need for you to send this over to the client each pay period. The client can also click into each month to view a full breakdown of the P30. The final tab then is Documents, and here the client can upload documents and resources and distribute them to their employees through a secure online portal. I'm going to go back to the dashboard again because I want to look at the notifications in more detail. You can see here on the screen that we have a request to approve the payroll and another to submit the payroll entry. So essentially, you as a bureau can request information from your clients, and the client can log in to their online portal to securely submit the payroll data or approve the payroll. It's also important to be aware that both of these options can be used as standalone. You don't necessarily need to use both of these features, and you can also pick and choose which clients you want to use this functionality for. First, I'll look at the client payroll entry, and here on the notifications, it says Submit Payroll Entry for Week 10. This feature enables the client to enter their employees' payment information for this particular pay period. There are two options here. The client can click into each employee individually to make changes, and this is very handy if the payroll is consistent each week, but maybe there's one employee that's a little bit different this week. Maybe they worked overtime hours that need to be added, or if they are entitled to a bonus or commission, for example. I'm just going to go back here, and the second option is where the client can import all of the hours, payments, additions and deductions for all employees at the same time. And this is probably the easier option, where the hours change from week to week. The client can simply upload the employee timesheets, for example. Here, the client can also notify you of any new starters. The client needs to enter all of the employee's personal, employment, and payment information, saving you chasing after all of this information. And the best part is you just need to click a button so that the employee is automatically set up on the payroll software, ready for you to process the payroll. Back on the dashboard, the second notification here is asking us to approve the payroll. So once you're finished processing the payroll, this allows you to send a payroll summary to the client before the payroll is finalized. The client can review and approve the payroll, or if there's something that's not right, they can reject it and add comments so that you know what figures need to be amended. Essentially, it puts the responsibility on the client for signing off on the payroll, and there's a full audit trail that keeps a record of all interactions that happen between you and the client. And finally, as a bureau, you can also click here for an additional layer of information, for example, to view all of your clients in one place, to add your clients or colleagues as users, and to add your own bureau branding. So that's the online employer dashboard. And employees also have access to a self-service portal, which they can log into on an internet browser or on a smartphone and tablet app. And the app is available to download for free on any Android or iOS device. Once logged in, the employee will get notifications every time their payslip is made available to them, and they'll also get notifications when a leave request has been approved and when a HR document has been shared with them. The employee can go into the documents to view payroll and HR documents, including a full payslip library. They can go into the calendar to view their past and scheduled leave and request leave. and they can go into My Details to view and update their personal details to ensure GDPR compliance. So it's a really powerful app with self-service features so that the employee can do a lot of the admin heavy tasks themselves rather than coming to you, for example, for lost payslips or for leave balance inquiries. We are now coming to the end of the demo. If you need support when using the software, we have free phone and email support. We also have very good online documentation on our website, and you can access this by clicking F1 within the payroll software or by going to support followed by payroll support documentation on our website. So for example, here it's showing me everything in relation to CIS. For getting set up, you can also go to support followed by switching to BrightPay to access information and help guides to help with switching from other payroll systems. We have now come to the end of the demo, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to answer any questions that were asked during today's webinar. Instead, a member of the BrightPay team will contact you as soon as possible to answer your questions directly. As I said, I will also send you an email shortly with a link to watch back a recording of today's demo, and I'll include some other useful videos in the email too. But that's it from me. I'd like to thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you found the demo useful. Thank you. Bye.